don't try it because it's really tough to do comedy and special effects and pathos and real sort of propulsive storytelling and all these things.
Well, Peter, when you got involved, though, too, and going back to, obviously, before I know we're in season 2 here, but going into season 1, were you a fan of the property before? Because obviously we had some iterations beforehand. Or was it like it was because of the new script, it was because of the new vision of it, that's what got you kind of hooked on it?
I wasn't a fan of it, but just because I didn't know it, I was aware of it, and I thought it was something that it wasn't. I thought it was. I had this impression of it that it was a far less sophisticated, beautiful thing. Yeah. I thought it was like more of a kind of straightforward parody. And I hadn't. When I read Ben's script, I was like, "Wow, this is so well written. Every sentence on the page was like you could take it out, and it was that would be. I would be proud of just having one of those in the script that I'd written, So then retroactively, I went back and looked at the comics. Ben actually sent me his own copies of the first run of the Tick comics, which was great. And I watched some of the cartoon, and then I watched a tiny bit of Patrick Warburton, and I was like, I mustn't watch this because a bit of it must have seeped into me anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's the risk of watching it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just so delightful what he did that I just thought I don't want to be influenced by it anymore.
Have you spoken to him at all?
No, we've messaged each other, and I'm very upset with him because he could have told me about the suit.
right, exactly. Yeah, do you ever get just frustrated after a while with it, or you just
No, not after a while. No, immediately, immediately, and constantly.
Yeah, so, did you have the same experience where sometimes it's not as fun as it looks?
No, it's never as fun as it looks. We're amazing actors.
Right,
that's why it looks fun.
We both we love the scripts and we love working with each other, and the actual technical demands of the show are just like incredibly high, and it makes it very satisfying when you watch it. Right. I feel like
the plays in the edit and everything too.
We were at WonderCon on Saturday, and we got to see them screen the first episode of season 2, and you go like, wow, look how many different things the show is doing, how tight it is, and the visual scope of the thing, how many plates are spinning. But while you're doing it, it's very it's hard to balance the things that are so technical and almost mechanical. In order to act like you're not horribly uncomfortable in the costume requires certain training exercises.
What do you do?
Well, it's like you learn how to overcome. It's like we talked about the story, but where when Jim Carrey was making The Grinch, they hired a CIA torture expert to teach him how people who are being held captive learn to not obsess over the pain, and you learn certain things of how to take care of yourself in between takes, but also just knowing, this is what it naturally does to my body, and I have to work twice as hard to look neutral.
Right. Yeah.
That's a big part of it, Right.
So are you in excruciating pain all the time?
Well, no. However, most of the time. Yeah. Wow. But if I'm not in pain, then I can't breathe, and or I'm trying to divert the blood flow in my body to my brain so that I don't fall over.
So there's a lot of strategic stuff like that. And when you're making a Marvel movie, they have a lot of time and a lot of money, And we're on a TV schedule where it's hard to pull off the scale of what Ben writes, which is so exciting when you read it.
How long did we have each episode? It was 7 days for each episode, was it?
Well, it was 8 or 9 days for 2 episodes at the same time.
Oh God,
we would cross shoot it, so you're jumping back and forth, and so
crazy.
something like, if you're on an Avengers movie, it might be like you have 6 days to work on this fight.
Right.
And so you really get to hone each little movement and take time in between to prepare yourself and
But
unwind.
TV show, it's like, you
and
gotta
this,
go.
it's like we're shooting the fight scene before lunch.
Wow.
And then after lunch, we have 8 pages of dialogue.
But I have to
exhausting.
assume, since you guys are back for season 2, something makes it worth it. So what is that thing?
I think it's the show itself, right?
Yeah.
I guess. And, paying our mortgages.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I love the show. I love it. It's hard to make.
When I was a kid, I still am obsessed with the Muppets, and I remember at a very young age watching like behind the scenes specials about the Muppets and being blown away that it was like, oh my God, they have to like carve out the couch, and then like Frank Oz is in a fetal position under cushions, contorting his arm like this, just so that Miss Piggy can do a dialogue scene.
Yeah.
And I remember as a child going like, that's so crazy that they put themselves in that much discomfort just to make like an 8-year-old entertained.
There was an 8-year-old on your set who came to visit. It probably feels the same exact way
when kids
now.
can't come to set, or when we would film outdoors and kids would see us on the street, I feel like we would both get that rush of energy where you'd go like, oh, right, that's why. I'm a massive fan of The Tick, so it's like I know how much that show meant to me.
Yeah.
So I'm able to keep in mind all the time, like, I know why I'm making this and who I'm making this for, and you have to kind of keep reminding yourself, like, 9 months from now when you go to the convention and everyone watches it and it looks like it was a lot of fun to make, that's why you put up with it.
Sure.
If that makes sense. I don't want to make it sound like it's an abusive relationship.
No, I
Would you be a
understand.